Hello and welcome to Current Issues. Raghuram Rajan, the Governor of the Reserve Bank of India, in an address at Columbia Law School this Monday said, and I quote, "It is dangerous to roll all loan defaults into events of poor moral values, and there is a need to distinguish between the two. What is happening on the NPA front gets loaded with a lot of morality. Are these good people? Are these bad people? I think one should take morality out of the NPA system." End of quote. The question that we are raising today is, willful defaulters versus genuine defaulters. Can both be painted with the same brush? And joining me on the debate today are Sunil Sinha, he's Senior Economist, India Ratings. Then we have Himanshu Vats, he's Senior Journalist and who comes with a lot of experience and who's watched the NPA issue very closely. But first we'll go to our package which details the whole issue for you.
RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan said that the issue of bad loans gets loaded with a lot of morality and it is necessary to keep criminal liability separate for putting the stressed assets back on track. Earlier this month, RBI also decided to stick to its decision of not naming large borrowers unless they are willful defaulters. But the question is, how do we distinguish between willful defaulters and the genuine ones? Raghuram Rajan says that the defaults in business happen, that everything is not under the promoter's control, and that naming them can damage the reputation of the company even when it may not be a willful defaulter. But the question then arises, who takes their guarantee? Who decides if they will not turn out to be willful defaulters like liquor baron Vijay Mallya? In India, there are a total of over 5,000 loan accounts that have been classified as willful defaulters by different banks across the country, with total loans amounting to 56,521 crore. These willful defaulters include that of individuals and institutions. The amount is over 1.5 times of the centre's allocation to agriculture in its pro-farmer budget 2016-17. That very well describes the magnitude of the problem. While the RBI governor is driving the banking system to clean up the bad loans problems by March 2017, he has been against clubbing all loan defaults as a deliberate attempt to cheat the banking system. Advocating strong action against willful loan defaults, RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan also said the loan defaults should be seen in the context of the circumstances during which the loan was cleared and disbursed. Ever since Rajan took over at RBI, the central bank has been gradually tightening grip on banks to cut down bad loans and stop the practice of hiding bad loans in the form of restructured loans by lifting the special regulatory dispensation on loans recast by banks. Ever since Rajan took over at RBI, the central bank has been gradually tightening the grip on banks to cut down bad loans and stop the practice of hiding bad loans in the form of restructured loans by lifting the special regulatory dispensation on loans recast by banks. According to the RBI governor, willful defaulters need to be treated separately from the normal loan defaulters. Tackling them will require coordinated action between the RBI, other sector regulators and the government. At present, the maximum banks can do in the battle against willful defaulters is to fight them in courts for years. By then, the value of the underlying asset would have eroded sharply, leaving the banks nothing to recover. Willful default by Kingfisher Airlines owner Vijay Mallya left the country in the wake of lenders and government agencies on his heels to recover nearly 9,000 crores. But is it proper for the RBI or the lenders to make public all cases of defaults unless they are proved to be willful defaults? If they do, would that impact the business environment in the country negatively? The big question is, should all be painted with the same brush?
So the question of the day is, can we paint all defaulters with the same brush? So if they are willful defaulters on the one hand, they are genuine defaulters on the other hand. Can they both be painted with the same brush? And S.K. Jindal, he's Chairman Investments Committee Association, he also joins us on the debate today. I must take quick reactions from all three of you before we move ahead. Could S.K. Jindal, could you step in with your reactions and what do you think? Could we paint both willful defaulters on the one hand and we have the other genuine defaulters due to turn of the economy or some unforeseen circumstances that they have figured? What do you think of this issue? Mr. Jindal, can you hear?
I don't agree that we paint them with the same brush.
Yes.
I don't agree that we should be painting them with the same brush.
Yes.
You see, we need to handle them very carefully.
Yes.
It is difficult, but it is not impossible. We should look into the details, how exactly it has happened. If it is a case of willful defaulter, it is totally different. If it is a case otherwise, suppose the person didn't get the government permission in time,
Yes.
suppose they didn't get the environment permission or any other license in time, so then it is not his default alone.
Yes.
And those defaults should be categorized differently and handled carefully. So I will not agree that they all should be painted with the same brush.
So I would toss the question to Himanshu Watts. Himanshu, could you tell me what do you think of this issue? Because you have part of the media, you know what happens. We painted one Vijay Mallya, and the thing is the environment in the country is now such that all businessmen are thieves. Or, we're painting everybody with the same brush. So due to a certain genuine turn of events or due to the demand cycle slowing down, if the business is slow, can we actually blame the proprietor or maybe the promoter of the company for maybe who's not able to pay back his loan? What do you think of this issue?
I think nobody can disagree with this, that
Yes.
there's no question of painting all of them with the same brush. Whenever there's a project, any business to be undertaken, there's an element of risk.
Yes.
There are various factors, the market, the approvals, at times the environment clearance, lots of things can happen. At the same time, there are certain people who have a dishonest intent.
Yes.
And I'm pretty clear, I think everybody is, that people who have a dishonest intent, who are consciously not repaying bank in order to enrich themselves, you have to descend on them like a ton of bricks.
Yes.
But
But
others who made an honest effort to do business,
Yes.
and it didn't work,
Yes.
you cannot hang them.
But Himanshu, very quickly, once again, what we see in the media increasingly is that we try and paint a picture that all defaulters are willful defaulters, or they should be painted with the same brush. Do you think that there should be some reasonable painting of the real picture? Do you think that this is increasingly happening where mass hysteria takes over news channels? Again, in discussions, we take one person, say example of Vijay Mallya, and then we try to label the whole community with the same brush. Do you think this is happening today? What is your independent observation of this issue?
Well, honestly, I don't think the media is really saying that everybody is a defaulter and
Yes.
everybody is a willful defaulter. I don't think that's the case.
Yes.
But what does happen is, whenever there is an instance of a strongly alleged malpractice by somebody who's high and mighty and has a very flamboyant image,
Yes.
when this kind of an incident comes to the public domain and
Yes.
it gets discussed by people who do not have specialized knowledge,
Yes.
so there is a lot of risk of making sweeping statements and
So lot
sweeping
of risk of
perceptions.
sweeping statements. Now I
there-
toss.
I completely agree.
Yes. So let me toss this question to Sunil Sinha. Sunil, what do you think of this issue? Are we painting all businessmen with the same brush?
Look, what happens is that at any particular point of time,
Yes.
say for example in this case, Mr. Vijay Mallya, of course there are issues associated with that, and time and again this issue cropped up, and eventually bank made a statement that he can be categorized as a willful defaulter. Now this is something which then almost goes viral, and then you start thinking as if and simultaneously this coincides with an event whereby the NPAs of
Yes.
the banks are rising.
Yes.
So then you start actually making a statement conjoining both of them as if
Yes.
what Vijay Mallya did is the case with all other bank
Yes.
defaults also.
Yes.
But at the same time, we must not forget that these are also difficult times where business is passing through a difficult time.
Phase.
There are economic cycles.
Yes.
When there is an upturn,
Yes.
no one talks about it. But there is a downturn.
Yes.
It is but natural that a lot of businesses which had been doing well or were based on certain assumption, and
Yes.
assumption didn't turn out to be true, so
Yes.
they will run into difficulties.
So
So that is where I guess the important issue is that we have to do it and deal it case by case.
So we have to deal it case by case. I like to read out a point to all of you. Raghuram Rajan, in his address at the Columbia Law School, also said, and I quote, it may have become a non-performing asset simply because you had a terrible luck or somebody else's fault. Somebody cancelled your licenses, didn't give you approvals on time, your partner didn't perform. There could be all sorts of reasons for companies getting into trouble. In some fraction of cases, I repeat, fraction of cases, there may be criminal liability involved. So what he clearly says is that it's not all due to the promoter's fault that companies get into trouble. There could be the economy which, suddenly went into the downward spiral, or maybe circumstances in the global economy which is not in the hands of the promoter of a particular company. So increasingly, do you think that we need to take a debate in this area if we have to have rational debates? I would like to get in SK Jindal into the debate. SK Jindal, what do you think of this?
I totally agree with the attitude and approach Mr. Raghuram Rajan has suggested.
Yes.
You see, this is the ground reality. Criminals, bad intentions, this is normally, if you take an average, 1 to 2% of people you will find of those nature.
Yes.
But normally 95 to 98% people are not looking for any bad intention.
Yes.
Morality, integrity and objective analysis, these are the things with which we can approach a right decision.
Yes.
Human tendency is to take easy way out. Easy way out is paint them all with same brush.
So, Mr. SK Jindal, very
that should not be done.
Mr.
And
SK
suppose you ask me.
Yes.
Yes, please.
See, what happens is when such kind of
Suppose
an issue...
you ask me, if I am accountable, I will give you right answer. If I am not accountable, I will say, you paint them all with the same brush.
Yes. So what happens is many times we see politicians actually saying that the issue has gathered a lot of steam into the media. So even if I want to take the right decision, but the media environment is such that if I act on this, I may be labeled as corrupt. If I act and maybe help this industry or come to the aid, I may be labeled as that I am pro-industry. Do you think this kind of environment prevents the political class from taking rational decisions in the interest of the country? What do you think?
Yes, I tell you, media,
Yes.
if their motive is to make some, if the motive is ulterior, they want to make some money by publishing or bringing that story out, then it is absolutely
No, we are not questioning the motives
acceptable.
of the media. We are just questioning when we take up issues in a certain fashion. There are no
Yes.
motives. So there are instances which get extrapolated, but do you think that affects, I mean, as a businessman, I want your view. As a businessman actually engaged in business in this country and as a representative of an industry body, when such kinds of stories come out, do you think the political class is reluctant to act simply because people are now too critical of the sector or businessmen associated with a particular sector or willful defaulters or A or B or C? What is your view? I want an all-encompassing view from you.
My experience has been in the near past few years. I have seen media is not rational with the problem. They want to sell their news, they want to make best out of it, they do it.
Yes.
But they are not sensitive to the problem itself. So I would suggest that media should also act more responsibly and not just to sell the news, they should make a highlight of it.
So I will toss this question to Himanshu Watts. He's been in the media far longer than what I have been. Himanshu can give us a very fair view of the whole situation. First, you can make your quick comments on Raghuram Rajan's views and then also reply to Mr. Jindal.
Okay. See, as far as Mr. Rajan's views is concerned, you're looking at this aspect of his views, but his overall intention is to set the banking system right.
Yes. Yes.
And there were many malpractices that were prevailing before his time in the past.
Yes.
And for this country, banking system is very important.
Yes.
So he's trying to sort it out.
Yes.
His latest statement is that in trying to sort it out, you don't throw the baby with the bathwater.
Yes.
So he's trying to strike a balance.
Yes.
He began around a year ago when he said certain people should not be called captains of industries, they are defaulters.
Yes.
And he said they even threatened to bring the enterprise to the ground.
Yes.
And then if there's a revival, if there's an upside, it is only for the promoter. If it is a downside, then it is for the banks.
Yes.
So he started with this.
Yes.
And then the debate took such a turn that
Yes.
extreme views came and the pendulum swung to the other extreme.
Yes.
So he's trying to balance it.
Yes.
But he's very clear that
Yes.
this whole system of lending and recovering loans
Yes.
has to be set in order.
Yes.
Coming to the comment on media, I mean, I personally don't recall reading any story or reading any or viewing any channel
Yes.
where any journalist has said that the entire set of promoters is bad.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think such a thing has been done.
Yes.
At the same time, there's a lot of public excitement and concern about this because, you know, man on the street generally talks that,
Yes.
you know, if I miss one installment of EMI,
Yes.
these banks will descend on me like a ton of bricks,
Yes.
maybe take away my car, maybe take away my house.
Yes.
So there's a lot of enormous public interest. But as far as reporting is concerned,
Yes.
you have the Reserve Bank of India governor
Yes.
making a statement about the health of the banking system,
Yes.
about what is the problem, and I think it's the duty of the media to report it.
So, now I'll toss this question to Sunil Sinha, he was also a columnist for various papers. So, in addition to being a senior economist, he's also a columnist. So, could you give us your views on the whole issue, please?
Look, I mean, see, the issue here is that, you know, quite often
Yes.
the issue is discussed out of context. I mean, we simply discuss the issue.
Yes.
We miss the context.
Yes.
I mean, if, you know, Vijay Mallya has become a defaulter,
Yes.
then there is a context to him becoming a defaulter also. Now, you know, what Mr. Raghuram Rajan has been doing over, you know, last few years is that when you look at the overall performance of the banking sector, it's not that there were no problems with the banks or banking sector. In fact, what is known as evergreening, I mean, towards the end of, you know, March, a lot of bad loans which needs to be accounted for used to be greened by the banks.
Yes.
So rather than coming out in the open and becoming an NPAs, they would remain in the system as if there is no stress on the banking
Yes.
sector.
Yes.
So what Mr. Raghuram Rajan is doing at the moment is that he is trying to solve the problem both from the banking side as well as from the business side.
Yes.
From the banking side, he wants the banks to be more transparent, more forthcoming,
Yes.
so that at least if there are pains in the system, they should not be hidden in the system so long that once it is out,
Yes.
you simply lose control,
Yes.
or you simply, you know, look at the NPAs and say, wow, I mean, is this the level?
Yes.
On the other hand, he is also trying to say that in this process, not, I mean, even if there is an economic downturn,
Yes.
there are certain people who have taken the overall system for a
Yes.
toss or for a ride.
Yes.
So such people should not go scot-free.
Yes. So
So,
we are
he's trying to strike a balance between the way the banking sector operates and the
Yes.
way the businesses
So, we
operate.
are getting a lot of reactions from the social media on this issue. A question that a businessman who just asked me on the social media, and I'll read out the question, and Mr. XK Jindal and can answer. Why bankers insist on higher interest from those who are willing to pay outstanding amount including agreed interest? Do you see this as a problem?
No, this is not a problem. I tell you, in any business,
Yes.
business and bank,
Yes.
they are sort of partners.
Yes.
Then business can go upward or go downward.
Yes.
It depends on situation.
Yes.
So we should not think that all pain is for business and no pain for bank.
Yes.
Bank knows it,
Yes.
that he is a partner in that business,
Yeah.
and he has his terms for that.
Yes.
So if there are if the party is willing to pay, it is the negotiation power and all the conditions, those things, if he is willing to negotiate or not will negotiate, all those things, they matter.
Yes.
So that is rate of interest which is payable which is finally agreed is depending on the negotiations he makes.
Yes.
But normally we should not take them as separate. They are the partners in business together, banks and businesses,
Yes.
and both should be responsible for accepting the results.
Yes. Let me ask a question to Himanshu. Last year was very bad, say, for the infrastructure industry. We had a lot of industrialists and all these industry bodies, be the CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM, they're saying that the bank should handhold the sector to recovery and to health. Do you think that bank should handhold certain industries to nurse them to health? Is that the duty of the banks? What do you see in terms of what happens in America? If you follow the global example, do you think this is what the bank should do?
As one of the panelists said earlier in the discussion, these are things which have to be looked at, case by case cases.
Yes.
I will not say an entire sector should be handheld
Yes.
or should be dealt with sternly.
Yes.
The situation will vary from case to case.
Yes.
Where the bank thinks that there were some genuine problems which can be resolved,
Yes.
if you handhold it, give them some grace, there's this 525 rule, there are various ways out.
Yes.
Where they think the investor was honest, the promoter was honest, and there's a good chance, there should certainly be handholding.
Yes. Yes.
But there would be cases where, the thing looks pointless.
Yes.
And as another panelist said,
Yes.
those cases you shouldn't evergreen it just to protect your books from showing a bad loan.
Yes.
You give some more money
Yes.
and then say, okay, this is a receivable and it comes on the asset side of a balance sheet.
Yes.
That should not happen.
Mr. Sinha,
I also want to respond to the earlier point which you picked from the social.
Social. So please do, Mr.
Yeah,
Himaj.
just a small point.
Yes.
As far as charging interest rates or higher interest rates is concerned,
Yes.
there are two things. One is, certain sectors or a promoter,
Yes.
a bank might consider risky, and they will charge what is called a credit risk premium.
Yes.
So that if a normal rate is say 10% for a particular sector which they think is dicey, they might charge 14%.
Yes.
So that happens.
Yes.
The second thing is, wherever there's a sector or any business where there are some defaults,
Yes.
the good guys pay for it. It happens
Yes.
in the power sector.
Yes.
There are many people who don't bill.
Yes.
Therefore, the money is recovered from people who do pay the bill.
Yes.
So those things happen.
But let me point out, Mr. Vats, in Patna we had a protest around 1.5 months ago. Traders in Patna actually got out to the street telling that we don't want any hike in power prices because the TND losses are 52%. So when 52% of the people don't pay, you don't make me pay for them. So we see a lot of now, reaction from the ground.
Yeah,
that's a quick point I had to make. That's all. But let me toss the question to Sunil Sinha. What do you have to say on this?
Yeah.
The issue is obviously far more complex than it appears.
Yes.
So obviously the issue needs to be handled far more carefully.
Yes.
And even when these issues are discussed at such forums,
Yes.
I think we need to be far more sensitive to the issue and accordingly give our reactions. Say for example, I'll just give you a counterfactual
Yes.
with respect to Vijay Mallya. You see, when the Etihad and some of these Middle East based airlines were thinking of investing in the Indian aviation sector,
Yes.
at that point of time Jet Airways was not on their radar.
Yes.
It was Kingfisher which was on
Yes.
their radar.
Yes. Yes.
And they were kind of engaging Kingfisher and they wanted to pick up a stake.
Yes.
So from that position it deteriorated to a position where it became a defaulter of whatever is the amount.
Yes.
Now the issue is that when really it started performing badly,
Yes.
did back took the issue at that point of time. Had they handled it more carefully, probably they would not have been staring at such a high level of loan.
Yes.
So all that I'm saying is that there are different stages.
Yes.
It is only that in one particular case the issue has come to such a pass
Yes.
that today you are staring at a situation as if there is no return.
Yes.
Going to come. So
Yes.
all that I'm saying is that look at the whole issue far more carefully.
Yes.
And obviously avoid the knee-jerk reaction. And Mr. Raghuram Rajan's approach
Yes.
is
Yes.
I can certainly say is really balanced.
Yes.
He is looking at the problem both from the banking's perspective as well as the promoter's perspective.
Yes.
And he wants to see that the problem needs to be addressed at the right time.
Yes.
And also he is simultaneously saying that there could be certain businesses, even if that business is good,
Yes.
and if you want to pump money, that business may not survive.
Yes.
So there has to be an exit route available to such businesses
Everything
as well.
available to say. So we now in our summing up comments, I would like to go to Mr. Jindal. Do you think banks have also been honest in declaring NPAs, or have they been reluctant? One, and in your summing up points, you could give us 2 or 3 points that you would, as a matter of policy, like the government to do to A, handhold the industry. Second, to see that the whole environment is not such wherein which businesses or businessmen are seen to be actually fleecing the banks for a fault of a few. Why should the whole business community be labeled as such? Your final comments on the issue, please.
banks should be handling all these issues now, which have become very, very important and very, very critical,
Yes.
carefully,
Yes.
with maturity
Yes.
and with morality.
Yes.
But if they are able to establish that there is a criminal liability involved into it, there is a criminal angle involved into it, or there is a willful default involved into it,
Yes.
these cases should be also handled with a very heavy hand.
Yes.
We should not let them go scot-free because they spoil the whole system,
Yes.
economic system.
Yes.
Bank must handhold the genuine cases.
Yes.
This is the way
Yes.
all businesses are run.
Yes.
If our client is not doing well and we think he needs handholding, we do that.
Yes.
Otherwise, we will lose more
Yes.
if every time we say, okay, we close business with you
Yes.
because you are not doing very well.
Yes.
So in the real life, the most sustainable solution is a balanced solution,
Yes.
what Mr. Raghuram Rajan has suggested.
Okay, let me come to Himanshu. What's your final comments? Have banks been reluctant in declaring NPAs? One. And two, your final comments on the issue. You could also tell us one more thing. When a business is built, an asset is built. So even if there is criminal intent or no criminal intent, the asset is of some value. So the assets will definitely generate some value if it's run well. So as Raghuram Rajan has said, focus should be on making the asset healthy. So along with your summing up points, you could also give us some information on this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with this point
Yeah.
that, the asset is the most important thing, and,
Yes.
and therefore, a good, efficient and quick bankruptcy code is very, very important for this country.
Yes.
So that, the asset doesn't rot while all this is happening.
Yes.
And my overall final point is that, banks are the most crucial thing in our economy, whether
Yes.
it's for the retail people or for the business.
Yes.
And the actual relationship between banks and their customers is a very symbiotic relationship. But at the same time, banks were, in a very, very critical kind of an illness,
Yes.
which requires a bitter medicine.
Yes.
And it's important that this bitter medicine is delivered in a manner that it
Yes.
doesn't harm.
Yes.
It
yes,
only does good.
Yes. 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 Now let me toss for your final comments to Sunil Sinha. Mr. Sinha, what do you think of this issue and your final comments?
Look, I mean, so far as hand-holding by the banks are concerned, I guess, this is one of the most crucial as well as the difficult task for the banks. And there has to be an internal capacity within the banks to not only discern as to which are the businesses which can be nurtured, could be handhold. So, I mean, in other words, all that I'm not saying that the banks do not have this capacity, but what I need is that this capacity needs to be strengthened further along with the risk management practices of the bank. So that, I mean, if there are risks, apparent in a particular sector or in a particular entity, you could take the recourse right at the beginning. And do not allow the situation to come to a pass whereby
Yes.
it becomes difficult.
Thank you.
So
thank you for your
that's
summing
where.
up comments. So we could actually say that be it America, be it China, be it UK, the governments of these countries have always handheld the industry in times of trouble, but law should actually strike hard at the willful defaulters and not the genuine ones. We would be doing a disservice if we actually label everybody with the same brush. Thank you all of us for joining the debate today. Thank you so much.